Hoppers was a great surprise coming from Pixar, but did you notice that most of the characters committed several crimes in this movie? What do you think would happen if each one of them ended up in prison? Prince Titus. We can guarantee you that Titus, the prince of the insects, would go through a lot if he had to pay for his crimes because he broke the law in several different ways. Especially at the end of the movie, when he started controlling a robot that looked like Mayor Jerry to lure humans into a trap. He committed identity theft, public deception, and even property theft, since he stole both the robot and the mayor's phone. All of that adds up to 8 years and 6 months in prison, along with a $50,000 fine. By the way, do you know what his goal was with all of this? Titus wanted to use sound devices to destroy the brains of several humans, in the same way that sound devices were used to drive animals out of their habitat. Even though the animals didn't deserve that, he went way too far with this plan. And doing something like that leads to much worse charges: conspiracy for mass extermination and terrorism. That results in 30 years in prison, 2 life sentences, and a $280,000 fine. Because of that, his total sentence is 2 life sentences plus 38 years and 6 months in prison, along with a $330,000 fine. Impressive, right? But we're just getting started. Ready to find out what would happen if the characters from Hoppers were arrested for their crimes? Get comfy and come with us, because another Cinewave is about to start. Mabel Tanaka, the main character of Hoppers, doesn't get away in this video because, believe it or not, she is one of the characters who broke the law the most throughout the entire movie, even though she's the heroine of the story. And her crime spree started when she was just a little kid, around 7 years old. At that time, she had already stolen several animals from school because she wanted to rescue them, and even bit a teacher who tried to stop her. That counts as animal theft, resisting authority, and assault, which adds up to 4 years in prison and a $7,000 fine. Things only got worse after she grew up. When the mayor was destroying the natural habitat to build a highway, Mabel jumped over a fence to enter the area, and in an attempt to stop the workers, she stood right on top of where they had planted the dynamite. The charges she could face are trespassing, reckless conduct for standing in front of explosives, and interference with construction work. All of these crimes combined result in a sentence of 2 years in prison and a $4,000 fine. At another moment, Mabel entered the college where she studies at night, even though it was closed. Even though she studies there, this could definitely be considered trespassing. But let's be fair, a student would hardly receive a severe punishment for entering the campus after hours, so this time she would only get a warning and 30 hours of community service. But don't get used to it, Mabel. Right after that, she finds the scientist's secret lab and commits her most famous crime by using the Hoppers device to take control of a robot with the appearance of a beaver. In this reckless act, Mabel committed several crimes at once: unauthorized use of scientific equipment, property theft, and interference with scientific research. She simply decided to play around with very dangerous technology, and the consequences of that are 6 years in prison and a $15,000 fine. This is far from the worst thing Mabel has done. After entering Animal Society, she gave a speech to the Animal Council, which resulted in them deciding to take the mayor's life. This could be considered conspiracy to commit murder, but that wasn't Mabel's intention, and she tried to stop them, so the charge is reduced to conspiracy to intimidate a public official, which results in 1 year in prison and a $1,000 fine. Next, the Animal Council threatened Mabel to make her agree with the plan to eliminate the mayor, and then Mabel simply crushed the insect queen with her hands, taking her life. Normally, no one would be arrested for crushing an insect, but come on. All animals are as intelligent as humans in the world of Hoppers, so this clearly counts as homicide, which in this case adds 5 years in prison and a $10,000 fine to Mabel's record. Mabel's brilliant idea to prevent the mayor from being eliminated was to break into his car, stop him from leaving the vehicle, intimidate him, and force him to cancel his construction. We don't even need to say how criminal that was. The charges this time are vehicle intrusion, kidnapping, unlawful restraint, and coercion, which add up to 28 years in prison and a $40,000 fine. Yeah, things are getting pretty bad for our dear beaver. When the Animal Council started attacking the mayor's car, she scared him to make him drive fast faster, which could have caused someone to get hurt. Because of that, she was an accomplice to reckless driving, and her punishment would be 6 months in prison and a $500 fine. On top of that, the car chase ended in a serious accident that put many lives at risk. Since the beaver was involved in that, her sentence increases by 1 year in prison and a $3,000 fine. When the scientists showed up to take Mabel away, she stole their device that allows communication between humans and animals. We all know stealing is wrong, and for Mabel to learn that, she will have to spend another 6 months in prison and pay a $1,000 fine. But at this point, that was nothing compared to other things we saw her do. When the mayor refused to cooperate with Mabel, she told the birds to find him and eliminate him, intending to scare him. That is intimidation and incitement to violence, which is punished with 6 years in prison and a $15,000 fine. It was at the end of the movie that Mabel committed one of her most dangerous crimes. While trying to stop the Animal Council from attacking humans at an event, she ended up causing a fire that put the lives of many animals and humans at risk. She could easily be charged with reckless arson, endangering the public, and environmental damage. The result? 12 years in prison and a $40,000 fine. And now, we've reached Mabel's total sentence: 66 years in prison, a $136,500 fine, 30 hours of community service, and a warning from the college. So, did you expect she would be locked up for that long? Comment down below #Mabel with your answer so we can see. Mayor Jerry. Mayor Jerry doesn't fall behind because his criminal record in the movie is full of corruption, especially because he tries to illegally build his highway over a protected natural habitat, causing explosions at the site and damaging the natural habitat. 5 years in prison and a $250,000 fine would be the minimum for what he did here. It gets worse when we remember that Jerry illegally installed sound devices in that natural habitat to disturb the animals and force them to leave the area, so that the government would then grant him permission to build the highway. This clearly qualifies as environmental fraud, with another sentence of 5 years in prison and a $250,000 fine. The worst part is that he committed abuse of power by using his position as mayor to manipulate the government, which adds 10 years in prison and a $50,000 fine. Since the animals may have suffered hearing damage due to the mayor's cruel strategy, his sentence increases by 1 year in prison and an additional $10,000 fine. Remember when Jerry was kidnapped by the animals inside his car? In desperation, he started driving like a maniac, which falls under reckless driving, 6 months in prison and a $500 fine for the politician. Then he started thinking it was all a dream and let go of the steering wheel to make it stop. That already counts as negligent driving, which increases the sentence by 3 months and the fine by $500. But since he put other people's lives at risk by driving like that, the sentence increases once again by plus 1 year in prison and plus $1,000 in fines. The mayor's final sentence is as follows: 22 years and 9 months in prison and a $561,000 fine. In addition, he will face immediate removal from office, a ban from holding any public office in the future, the obligation to pay for the restoration of the destroyed natural habitat, and of course, a court order to cancel the highway construction in that protected area. Animal Council. The king of the birds, the king of the amphibians, the queen of the reptiles, the queen of the fish, and the queen of the insects, who together formed the Animal Council, committed an absurd number of crimes, and honestly, this council can be considered a high-level criminal organization. Things started to go wrong when they decided they would eliminate the mayor once and for all. When Mabel didn't agree with that, the council simply tried to kidnap her, which already puts 20 years in prison and a $10,000 fine on their record. They also threatened Mabel, saying they would crush her, which increases the sentence by plus 5 years in prison and plus $5,000 in fines. And that's before we even talk about what started all of this: the plan to eliminate Jerry. That is a conspiracy crime, which drastically worsens the sentence, bringing a life sentence and a $10,000 fine for each of them, totaling $50,000. After a lot of events unfolded, the council managed to make this already terrible sentence even worse by kidnapping Mabel, the scientists, and the mayor, and threatening the scientists to force them to build a robot in the mayor's likeness. Sounds bad? That wasn't even the worst part, because they soon initiated a plan to use sound devices on humans, which could even cause brain damage and death. During that time, they committed kidnapping, extortion, unlawful restraint, criminal threats, coercion, terrorism, and conspiracy. 2 more life sentences for them, plus 63 years in prison and plus $35,000 in fines. Before that, the council had already tried to take Mayor Jerry's life in several ways, even throwing a shark into his car. That alone results in 20 years in prison and a $10,000 fine. The shark, by the way, caused the mayor to perform dangerous driving maneuvers, which increases the prison time by 5 years and the fine by $5,000. In all of this chaos, the scientists also almost died because of them, plus 1 year in prison and plus $1,000 in fines. Not to mention that they destroyed the scientists' robots, which results in a $50,000 fine to cover the damages. Want to know the full sentence? Get ready. 3 life sentences, 114 years in prison, and $166,000 in fines. Don't forget, subscribing is the easiest way to make sure you never miss any of our videos. Scientists. Yeah, even Dr. Sam and Nisha have problems with the law, even though they seem like angels compared to the other characters. Whether they meant to or not, they allowed Mabel to use the Hopper's device without her having signed a test subject consent form, putting a student at risk of suffering brain damage by using this experimental technology. Not to mention that both of them drove dangerously when they went to try to retrieve Mabel. All of this falls under the crimes of scientific negligence, violation of research protocols, endangering a person's life, and reckless driving. Let's go straight to their total sentence. 3 years and 6 months in prison and a $21,000 fine. In addition to the cancellation of Project Hoppers, the confiscation of all technologies developed by them, the suspension of their scientific licenses, and a ban on conducting experiments on human beings. Their careers would be completely destroyed. Enjoying it? Then click one of the 2 videos we left on the screen and keep going with us. See you next time!